Hello. I don't know, I'm having problems, tech issues with that intro. Sorry about that. Hello. Welcome to the Smile Revolution. I am Princess Wow. I am, this is my 181st show since March 2020. And this show, I just came together a couple hours ago and I didn't promote it much because I literally just came together. I wasn't even going to do, I was maybe going to do something. It's Thanksgiving week for those who are watching live. And I figured a lot of people are traveling. So I wasn't going to do an interview. I was just going to do a solo show. However, Richard Barone, my dear friend who produced this incredible concert on Sunday night, November 19th, it's now the 21st, at Carnegie Hall, Music Plus Revolution, based on his amazing book, which I have read every single page. It's incredible. Came out in 2022. It's Greenwich Village in the 1960s. Forward by Anthony DeCurtis from Rolling Stone magazine. And anyway, it just happened that I just happened to. Hi, Freddie. I don't know if it's Freddie or Nancy on Freddie's computer, but anyway, hi. And so my interview just came together this afternoon. I was able to get a hold of Richard. So stay tuned. And I'm going to have one clip from the after party. And next week will be part 2, actually, because I interviewed some of the artists who came to the after party. And I'll show some of those clips. But I'll show you one from Willie Nile today in my show. So it's Thanksgiving week. And I'm really grateful. I want to thank all my interviewees. I really love doing my show. And so I'm thanking them, everybody who's been willing to be on my show. And I am the founder of the Smile Revolution. We raise awareness to the healing power of a genuine smile. If you've never watched my show, I never know who's watching, actually. Hi, Laura. Thanks for joining. Oh, see, it's Nancy. Okay. And I'm also, I'm also a writer, performer. I play a little ukulele. And what else do I do? Laura, what else do I do? Well, I make hats, and I've been doing that a long time. And I do a show called A Hat Happening. I've performed with my hats many years. It's been in the New York Times and Good Day New York several times over the years. And bringing them back. And I actually have a show coming up in person in New York City in April 2024. I'm just getting my new date. I think it's going to be April 11th, not what I may have said it last week. I changed it because it was Passover and spring break. Hats Comedy, Smile Instigator. Okay, thank you. I guess I am. I'm naturally funny. I don't really tell. I've never told a joke in my life, but I guess people say I'm naturally funny. I used to be a stand-up comic too. Okay, and a costume designer, wardrobe stylist. I've done a lot of things over the years. My background is actually photography. Okay, so it's this book. Actually, Richard Skipper gave me this book a long time ago. When Action Follows Heart, 365 Ways to Share Kindness. Susan Spencer, Editor-in-Chief, Women's Day. Pass it on. When someone shows kindness to you, set a goal of doing the same within 24 hours. And then 365 ways to give thanks, one for every day of the year, Brenda Shoshana. Okay, this is actually good for me to read too, for myself and for others. If something bothers you, talk to the person who can do something about it. Don't tell everyone else. I've been guilty of this, so I'm acknowledging that right now. Some of us tell everyone we know about an event that has troubled us, causing others and ourselves and others to be generally upset. We seldom go to the person who has caused it or who is in charge of the situation and work it out. It is much more efficient and fruitful not to disturb others, but resolve the problem directly with the person or persons who are involved or in a position to make a change. When you take this new course of action, you'll be delighted at how quickly situations get resolved and how much better everyone feels. Okay, and then Laura actually gave me this a long time ago. Do more of what makes you happy. It's a bag. And actually, Richard Barone, I found he gave me this a long time ago. It's a Peace beanie baby, a Peace. There he is. Okay. And let's see what else. I guess that's it. And I have this smile. Well, we have to be grateful, and we all have challenges, and there's a lot of challenges on the planet, but we still can focus on the good and do good and be good, and however you deal with your life, but there's always good going on no matter what. And we're not ignoring the problems. It's just we're dealing with it, however, praying, however you get through the day to be able to smile and bring joy to others, which the world needs so much more of. Okay, so let's see. Richard Barone. Okay, I'm going to show you a clip from Willie Nile before Richard comes on. But I'm going to tell you a little bit, Richard, if you don't know. Richard Barone is a recording artist, performer, producer, and author. Since pioneering the indie rock scene in Hoboken, New Jersey as frontman of the Bongos and helping to launch the chamber pop movement with his solo debut, Cool Blue Halo, Barone has produced numerous studio recordings and worked with artists in every musical genre. His list of collaborators has included producer Tony Visconti, Donovan, Lou Reed, and folk legend Pete Seeger. He has scored shows and staged all-star concert events like this one at venues such as Carnegie Hall, the Hollywood Bowl, and SummerStage in Central Park. His memoir, Frontman, Surviving the Rockstar Myth, was published in 2007. It's a great book. I read it when they toured they did really well, the Bongos, in the 80s. And so he wrote that book. His album, Sorrows and Promises, and his latest book, Music Plus Revolution, 2022, are celebrations of the 1960s music scene in Greenwich Village, New York City, where Barone lives. He teaches the course Music Plus Revolution at the New School of Jazz and Contemporary Music, has served on the board of governors of the Recording Academy, GRAMMYs, serves on the advisory board of Anthology Film Archives, and hosts folk radio on WBAI New York, and other things. Well, anyway, yeah, okay, thanks, Nancy. Okay, so anyway, I'm going to list I also want to list, this is the program from Sunday night, and before Richard goes on and before I do Willie Nile, I just want to mention everybody who played, because I didn't mention everyone in the interview, but everyone was amazing. Okay, so David Amram, Eric Anderson, Richard Barone, obviously, Terry Thal, Carolyn Hester with Amy Bloom, Carla Bloom, they're her daughters, Marshall Crenshaw, Adam Amram with David Amram, Adam's the son, Tom Paxton, Happy Traum. Well, he wasn't there, but he did a video. Brought him in that way. Terry Roach, Jenny Muldar, Jeff Muldar, her dad, Mary Lee Cordes and her husband, Eric Amble, Jose Feliciano, Willie Nile, the Bongos, Lenny Kay, and Steve Katz, Steve Adabo, who's a musical director, Anthony DeCurtis, Glenn Mercer, the Feelies, Justin Vivian Bond, David Johansen from the New York Dolls, Vernon Reed, and Dolores D. Dixon. Okay, so, and then there are more. Wait a minute, there were more. There are people who played Mark Elliott, Dennis Dickin, and let's see who else, because I don't want to miss Joe McGinty, and let's see who else. Jared Michael Nickerson, Kevin Twigg. I think that's it. I don't want to miss anybody. Okay, it's a lot. So anyway. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to play, this is from the after party, and Willie Nile. I'm just going to do a 2-minute clip of Willie Nile talking about the concert. And Willie Nile has been on my show. He's toured with The Who, and he's like an award-winning singer-songwriter, one of the greatest. And so here he is, and I'll be back in 2 minutes with Richard Barone. Hi, Willie. It's so good to see you.
So good to see you as well. Happy to be here.
So it was a great concert tonight, Music Plus Revolution. Richard Barone did an amazing job, didn't he?
It was a beautiful night. It was like time travel from the beatnik days of the 50s through the 60s to the 70s to see David Johansen of the New York Dolls.
Oh my God, wasn't that incredible?
Singing There But For Fortune, masterpiece by Phil Oakes, with David Amram from the 50s beat scene,
right,
performing together.
It was unbelievable.
It was a great night.
It really was.
It was a great night.
And your song, you did one of Bob Dylan's songs.
I did Like a Rolling Stone.
Like a Rolling Stone, and it was well. Your performances are always amazing, but you did a great job.
Thank
it was
you.
so fantastic.
It's a great song, and an idiot could sing it. And tonight, an idiot did sing it and had a good time doing it.
Willie. Okay, well, anyway, and let's see, what else? Who else was there? Vernon Reid, that was really, oh, God.
Vernon was great.
Vernon was great.
Everybody, all that, Eric Anderson, Tom Paxton.
What about Mary Lee Curtis? I love her.
Mary Lee was great.
Wasn't she great doing that song? It's incredible. And then who else?
Everybody was good. Marshall Crenshaw. Richard Barone, the Bongos.
The Bongos played.
It was
historical. Wasn't it historical?
I think so. It was
I really feel it is.
I think so too, and I was proud to be part of it.
I know. I'm so glad you were there to do a song.
It was really an honor. I sat on the side on the stage.
I know. I saw you
because I wanted to watch it all, and I got to see Carolyn Hester.
Carolyn Hester was amazing.
Who got Bob Dylan and helped him get signed to Columbia Records.
Yep.
A sweetheart of a woman, and still singing great. It was like time travel, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s to 2023.
Yeah.
I'm on board for that journey.
Yep.
Tell William Shatner I'm ready.
Okay.
Willie, tell William Shatner he should have been there.
Okay, Willie, thank you so much. That was great.
Thanks for having me. Cheers, everybody.
Okay, thank you. Well, Richard, it was like, I can't get over. Well, I know anything you do is amazing. Like the SummerStage, we did the Stars and Promises, like God's counting on me, God's counting on you. I was just watching that again today.
Oh, wow. Great.
And we've known each other since 2009 from the oil spill. We brought Pete Seeger to the city winery, right?
Yep.
So anyway, here we are in 2023, all these years later.
Incredible.
And I'm just so glad.
Friends. Still good friends.
Yeah.
And we still get to go. We get to have experiences like the other night, like Sunday night in Carnegie Hall, where we get together with so many friends and have some great music and making great memories. More memories, Yeah.
It was the concert Sunday night was just so historical.
Thank you.
And you did such a good job. And what I read today, B.B. Farber, which she wrote.
Yeah.
I'm just going to read a little bit of it.
Okay.
Because it was so beautiful.
Yeah.
She said, not often do you wake up feeling totally reborn after a music show, reconnected to the glorious legacy of songs and music. Last night at Carnegie Hall was a transcendent celebration of torches being passed. Richard Barone, Bongos and Beyond, wrote Music Plus Revolution, a book about the folk music scene in the Village in the 60s, and produced this miraculous evening. And so she goes on and on. It's just, and the book and your book. Every page. I did one interview with you so far, but your book is so great.
Thank you. I loved writing. To be honest, I think if these things are successful, like the concert and the book, it's really because I really love it. I love the story. I love the music. I love the people. Yeah. And I especially loved getting the people that are in the book to come to Carnegie Hall so they could be like, the book could come to life, with Tom Paxton and Eric Anderson and Carolyn Hester. These are stars. To me, these are superstars. And they're superstars of the book. And we need to see them. And to see them in one place on one night, that was my dream,
Yeah, and to do it at Carnegie Hall. I know.
To do it at Carnegie Hall, a beautiful venue. where we can really have really nice sound and control of the lights. And because when we did Central Park in 2018, it was different. That was like a festival. It was a big party, and it was great. There were 5,000 people there, and it was like an outdoor party, like a picnic. You know what I mean?
Right.
But the sound is great, but the sound is not like Carnegie Hall. So over here you could hear every word, and you could hear every note, and it was just more like a pristine listening experience at Carnegie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
you could really hear everything and see them right there. It was a beautiful place for them to be seen and heard.
Yeah, and they all were just so honored to be part of it. They all told me they were just whoever I did. Nice. They all were just so honored to be there.
That's nice.
Lenny Kaye said it too. I'm sure everybody told you who was part of it.
They did. They were really, and that makes me so happy because really, years ago when I started performing, I always wanted to make concerts where someone said that, where she said, you feel reborn. I mean, I've always dreamed about doing concerts where you do feel something change, something happen, a positive thing, happen from it. And I think our Central Park show did that. And I think Sunday night also did that, where you feel something has changed, like a new connection to the past. Maybe young people also in the audience would be now connected to something like that they never knew before. I do think that we were able to do that, connect people to the music history of music, and the history of Greenwich Village.
Yeah, and it's important, you're right, for the different generations to be aware of all these amazing people and songs, and that's why bringing so much to future generations and to all of us who are part of the generation.
Thank you. And I think for the new generations too, for new musicians, that they should see like how a community that was their Greenwich Village community together was able to really change things because they got these songs out and the messages out, and people around the world heard it. And it was like there was a unity to the message too, about loving each other, and the anti-war message, all of these civil rights, all of these things were in the songs, like embedded in the songs. So they were able to get a message out with the music.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's what I really love.
Right. And so I heard you say, are you going to do this every year, like do an annual?
Well, it's come up. We'll see. They have asked. I mean, it's been talked about now because this show sold out so quickly.
2 weeks.
Yeah, not even. I think it was even less. And so,
you do?
Yeah, I think it was even less than 2 weeks. It just sold out, and it's like it's a lot of. There was so much excitement about it, and I'm one of them. I was excited about it too.
I know, me too. Well, I got my tickets with it went on sale November, July 11th, 11 a.m.
Yeah, by August there were. I mean, as you know, there were no more tickets. I mean, it was just.
I got my ticket within the first hour.
Good.
Yeah,
good.
At 12 o'clock.
Because I announced that. I wanted you and others to know that that's when the tickets were on sale. We did all the proceeds, of course, are going to Music Cares, which is a organization to help musicians. They really help in every way. A lot of musicians, especially during the pandemic, had a very hard time making any kind of money, for one thing.
I know, right?
And Music Cares helped all of us. But they help. A lot of people had to go to them for help, and they got it. And they also help with healthcare. A lot of musicians do not have proper healthcare because they don't have normal jobs,
Right. I know.
They have musician jobs where you just go do a gig,
Right.
And Music Cares covers a lot of ground for musicians. It's a place they can go to for help. And for this concert, I wanted to, for one thing, get the word out about Music Cares, by having it as a benefit, because then their name is there, and also to help them with money so that they could help more musicians.
Right. So it was a total. It was like 100%.
100%. Everyone volunteered their time.
Great. And that's great.
Yeah.
And it's also for the village preservation.
Yeah. So a larger, because it's a larger national organization, we're giving a larger cut to the Music Cares, but also a good percentage is going to the Greenwich Village Society for Historic Preservation. It's a long name. That's why they call it Village Preservation.
Okay.
The Historical Society for Greenwich Village, they're the ones who make sure that the city doesn't just rip things out, because often they want to do new buildings or tear away important landmarks.
Right.
And Greenwich Village is a national landmark, but still big companies can come in and try to take over and ruin it.
Okay.
Greenwich Village Society for Historic Preservation helps stop that. And they also are the ones who put the plaques on buildings. Like if it's a building where John Sebastian lived, they're the ones that mark the buildings with the historic marker, the landmark.
So that's
so
really
all
cool.
through the village, if you walk through, they're very subtle, but they're bronze plaques in certain places where
I
people
didn't know
live.
that.
Yes. It's a beautiful thing. So they keep those as historic places.
Okay, that is cool. I never knew that.
Yes.
I guess there's people who do tour guides and they show you where.
Yeah, they show them.
Sure, they do. Oh, that's
They
really
show
cool.
them that. I love it. I love that because it really shows it. Wow, this is where things happen, and that inspires next generations too. That when something remains there to remind you about someone who lived there and wrote something or did something important. So I love it. I love what they do. I've lived in Greenwich Village since 1984. So I've seen their work and I see how they try to keep things right, because everything else, progress is great, and New York is there's a lot of buildings, there's a lot of stuff. We try to keep Greenwich Village unique,
Well, it is so unique. It is so special. And then one day I'll have a Richard Barone lived here.
Well, that would be beautiful, but it's not, my mom says things like that, but it would be lovely. But, I have lived in the same apartment for a long time. I love it there on Waverly.
And you're on Waverly Place.
Yeah. I love it. And, right around the corner, like John Sebastian lived in, it has a history, that neighborhood.
I know, right. Terry Thompson and a lot of people lived right around where you live. Right there.
Roseanne Cash was right on the block. There's so many. It was, and there's certain streets like 10th Street where Pete Seeger lived, and on the same street Leadbelly lived. It's so interesting that they lived on the same street. That
I never knew.
Yeah, Leadbelly was on East 10th Street, and then Pete Seeger and the Almanac House was on West 10th Street. But just Leadbelly could just walk over, when they were there
at the same time.
To be honest, I'm not sure about that. I think
it could have been a different era.
A certain place. He lived on McDougal Street with Toshi, and then a few places. But at one point, they each lived on 10th Street. There's that I thought was cute.
Right. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, that's great. And so, Jose Feliciano. Oh God,
what a great performer.
Well, everything. Everything was amazing. And Mary Lee Curtis.
Wasn't she great? She rocked. And she really did a Buffy St. Marie song in the spirit, the way Buffy meant that to be done,
Yeah, she really did. And then David Johansen.
Yeah, what a beautiful reading of a Phil Oakes song. Yeah. And his rough, deep voice made it very, to have a man sing with about something so sensitive is what I'm interested in that. And with folk music, you can do that. Like sometimes with rock music, men are so... it's all about it has a lot of aggression and but, to sing a sensitive song with that kind of voice, I think really helps to have even more meaning when he's singing about a prisoner in a jail. And then his voice has a roughness to it. It's almost like he's that person singing,
And then Steve Adabo.
Oh, Steve Adabo he was our musical director who played with a lot of people on the show. Yeah.
Did he organize like what songs everybody should sing, or was that you?
That was mostly me, but I also asked the artists. I suggested. Okay. And in most cases, I suggested songs that really, I think, tell the story of the book. Right? Okay. But then Tom Paxton, when he came in, I had a song for him, I chose a different song, and it was in the program differently, if you notice. So he had a song called Lyndon Johnson Told the Nation. And that was a song he wrote, because don't forget, Tom Paxton was in the Army. Right. And he was still enlisted, I think, at that time he wrote this. And he's talking about the Vietnam War. And he's like reporting the news, and he's saying, Lyndon Johnson told the nation there will be no escalation. Well, there was escalation. Okay. And the war continued. And that song kind of it's like a very important anti-war song. But then when he came, and I love it, and he loves it too, of course, he wrote it. But then when he came into town, he really wanted to do The Last Thing on My Mind, which is a classic. And I didn't know that. He told me while he was here, we rehearsed together, and he told me that Dolly Parton, that was her first hit record.
Really?
When Dolly was just starting out. So it must have been the 60s.
And he wrote his song.
She did his song.
Oh, wow. And she made it a hit.
That really helped him a lot, and also was great for her,
Oh, that's
The
cool.
country version of the Last Thing on My Mind.
Huh. And that's
Yeah.
really neat.
Mm-hmm.
And that's cool. And then who else? Oh, Willie Nile.
Oh, Willie Nile rocked it with. See, I needed a rock artist, really rock, to do
Yeah.
like Rolling Stone, because that's when Dylan started playing electric guitar
Uh-huh.
and rocked it out at Newport in 1965.
Uh-huh.
So we had to show that. So that ended Act One.
Okay. Right. Oh, yeah. It was a great ending. It was a great ending.
Electric, you know, because everything else before that in the show is acoustic.
Right. And then, yeah. The ending of the first, it was fantastic. It was perfect. He rocks. Rock and I just
rock it, yeah. And it shows the music changes. It gets more to rock and roll, because rock and roll and the folk music, they come together at that right around that time. And I wanted to show how music evolved in a natural way. It wasn't artificial; it was natural, because the Beatles had come and people loved them.
Right.
When I was doing the book, I interviewed a lot of folk artists. I thought, did you hate the Beatles? And goes, no, we love the Beatles. I interviewed Terry Thal. And I was wondering, because she was such a folk, woman, love folk music. I said, did you hate the Beatles? She goes, no, we bought their albums.
Oh, okay. That's cool, because I didn't talk to her about that.
Yeah, I just thought of it for the book. I was thinking, well, what happened after the Beatles were on the Ed Sullivan Show?
Right. And, in 64.
64. And it's like, and she's like, oh, we were watching it. We loved it. We watched them every time they were on TV. We loved it.
That's great. Oh, that's good to know. Oh, that's cool.
And the Love and Spoonful, the next song on the show was then my own group, the Bongos, doing a Love and Spoonful song. And I was showing how then bands were forming, because before that, really, it's a lot of solo folk artists.
Right. And then the band starting, right?
And the Beatles.
Like the Love It. When was that? Like 65?
By 64, 65. So that was 65. The Love and Spoonful.
Because the Beatles, right?
Yeah, John Sebastian told me he was sitting on a couch with Mama Cass. Well, Cass Elliot, her real name.
Right.
Cass Elliot and Zal from the Love and Spoonful. They were sitting on a couch together and watching the Beatles on the Ed Sullivan Show, and they're like, we're going to start a band. We're going to get a band. We're going to get bands together, So at first they did a band together. They were called the Mugwumps or something. I think it's the Mugwumps.
Right. Yeah.
That was the first. That had Cass, and they had Love and Spoonfuls and some Mamas and Papas. And then eventually they went their own ways, and Mamas and the Papas became one band, and the Love and Spoonful became another. Okay. They were like brother and sister bands. You know what I mean? Because they were
I didn't realize that. Oh, yeah, cool. And they were all friends.
Like brother. They were friends, and
right.
Some of them became one band, and some became the other band. Yeah.
They were in Greenwich Village, and then went to LA, and then went to Laurel Canyon.
Mamas and Papas eventually ended in LA, and a lot of it is in the song "California Dreamin'," which is, I'm glad Jose did that song. I wanted him to do it.
Yeah. Okay.
But he wanted to. He wanted to do it, and I wanted him to do it.
Okay. Good.
That's a good song, because that's written in New York City. It's written in the Village at the Washington Square.
Right.
It was written at the hotel. And, Michelle Phillips, was John Phillips' either girlfriend at the time or wife already. So I think they were already married. She was an LA girl. She was like a surfer girl, kind of beach, she was from this warm weather. And when she was in California, she was in New York. I mean, when she was in New York, she didn't have the right clothing.
Oh,
It was a cold winter in 63.
Okay.
And so she's the one who started writing California Dreamin'. That's why all the leaves are brown and the sky is gray. I went for a walk on a winter's day. That's her saying, it's too cold. She couldn't deal with the climate.
Really interesting. I never knew that.
Yeah, so they're saying, I'm California dreaming. Yeah, I'm California dreaming. And then they eventually moved back out there. And what they were doing here in New York wasn't really clicking for them. Like some bands, Bob Dylan and other Eric Anderson, they really immediately had success. Those two especially, and others, they got gigs in the Village. But
Richie.
Yeah. Certain artists did fine, but
right.
Some didn't. One that didn't was the Mamas and the Papas. Like they were playing as at the time when they started, they were called the New Journeymen. And they really weren't. It wasn't really that happening for them at the time, I believe.
Okay.
And nor was it happening for Roger McGuinn, who was he was going to form the Byrds, but he was in the Village playing at the Gaslight. But at the Gaslight, he was playing like Beatles songs, and they had a sign outside saying his name was Jim McGuinn. Then it was before he was Roger. He was called Jim. Jim McGuinn, and he goes doing Beatle impersonations.
Oh, that's funny.
Like they weren't really treating them seriously. See what I mean? So he
Yeah.
also decided to go to LA. So in LA, they were able to start over again. And they were able to then they found success there, you know?
Right. And they all gathered and lived up in Laurel Canyon.
Laurel Canyon, right? That was all I was telling my students today about Laurel Canyon. I said it was like a little village. It was a lot cleaner, you know, and I was, you know, because the villages was always a rough, it was always like, you know, a very earthy neighborhood. Let's put it that way.
It was really beautiful. And like up there, I've been up to Laurel Canyon.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. And they all lived and they all had, I know, it was really cool. They just created a whole nother scene up there.
Yeah. And they had their own houses instead of apartments, they're now in houses. So, you know, it worked out for them there, of course, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And,
so that's
the Mamas and the Papas were like the center of that scene early on. And then, of course, Joni Mitchell and so many others moved out there.
Right. Because they were all friends, right?
They were all friends and they saw the music was happening there too.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really neat. And that was more later in the 60s, right? Though.
Yeah.
Right, later 60s.
Yes, but it's by 68, around 68. But really, by 65, it was starting slowly with the California Dream. That's why that song was important because that's kind of a good like a marker of when they're talking about going to California. Remember, and then also in the Summer of Love, John Phillips, same person, you know, John Phillips wrote. If you're going to San Francisco, you know, be sure to wear flowers in your hair. It was a lot of California songs that were being written, often by John Phillips, so that, you know, it was like there was a slow movement at first to go to California. It was like it sounded good, right?
Yeah,
wearing flowers in your hair and going to San Francisco.
Yeah, right. So, the Summer of Love, yeah. Well, when was the Summer of Love? 69? Is that from 69?
69, even though they say 67. The real true Summer of Love. Now, a lot of younger people refer to 69 because of Woodstock.
Because of Woodstock, right.
Because of Woodstock, but really 67 was
really
truly the Summer of Love, they called it. And, you know, it's sad because 68 became like a summer of hate because there was so many killings. And
I know. I know. Right. And then everything changed.
There was one moment of love there, you know, of 67.
And then the killings and everything.
Yeah. 67 was a beautiful, like, that was the beginning of the hippies, really. And I think it was 67.
Right.
You know?
And then 68, everything changed. And then, but that was like around before Woodstock, I guess, right? Or around, well, was that?
Because Woodstock came in 69. That, to me, Woodstock brought it all together. It was a peaceful festival.
Right.
That really brought it all together. And to me, in my class that I teach here at the New School, by the way, for your listeners and viewers, I'm at my New School office here. I teach at the New School.
That's why we're not like decorating. You don't have your lighting perfect. I know. You're not at home.
Yes, if I was at home, there'd be different kinds of things everywhere.
Right.
But I teach music and revolution, like the concert. I teach it at the New School, and I love it. My students love the class, and in that class, we ended around the time of Woodstock because I feel that kind of bookends the decade.
Right.
You know, from the early 60s, then to Woodstock kind of says, you know, because after Woodstock, the music that used to be played in the small little coffee houses here is now 500,000 people. That's how big it got. It's the same music and some of the same artists. John Sebastian played there and Richie Havens and so many artists that were really part of the...
Where did they play?
At Woodstock.
Oh, yeah, right. You're talking about that. Yeah, okay, got it.
What I'm saying is, at first they were playing in the small...
Oh, right, the small
houses.
And then they went
playing for 500,000 people in Woodstock.
Right.
Mm-hmm. It's the same crew, you know.
Well, some of them were unknowns until they did Woodstock.
Yeah.
Right.
I think Richie Havens was kind of known, but I mean, he had an album out, Mixed Bag, and he played at the Village. He played at the nice places in the Village, but really, I don't think he had ever, no one had ever played anything that big before as Woodstock.
Right. Yeah. And then Crosby, Stills and Nash, I think that was like their second concert. Right. They were just getting together.
I think was that their first concert?
It might have been their first, right? I mean, I don't know, first or second.
There's certainly that was early on for them. I think if not the first, it was early, and other bands too. I made their first. Appearance. That was like a great big appearance for them. You know, if not their first, it was certainly their first big appearance for so many of them.
Yeah. So anyway, I think it's great that you're teaching because for the kids, it's so good for them to know what happened.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of your students came to your concert too, right?
Oh yeah. They loved it. It's an amazing story. You know, the whole 60s story in Greenwich Village it's an incredible story of starting with a few people and how it really reached so many people. By the end of the decade, so many people knew them and loved them, you know.
Yeah.
Even Bob Dylan, who just came into town as a complete nobody, you know.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So many did very well in Greenwich Village, and they wrote songs that will, I think, last forever.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. And so, anything else you want to say about the concert Sunday night?
No, just really to thank the audience. The audience was one of the best. You know, I've been playing shows all my life. I've been in the music world since age 7. You know, so it's like I've played at all kinds of places, but it was one of the most loving audiences. I felt it the minute I went out. I sang a few lines of a Phil Oakes song at the beginning of the show, just myself alone.
Right.
And I felt the audience. I felt their attention, their love, their connection to us from the very beginning. And I think it stayed through the whole concert, that connection.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. No, everybody was like, it was a sea of smiling faces through the whole concert, right?
Yeah, it really was. It was really beautiful. For us on stage, we could see you. We could see the audience. And it was just beautiful for us. And I think everyone had a great time. And, you know, instead of listing all of them now, I mean, I don't know, maybe during your show, if you mentioned all the artists, every one of them was spectacular. Every one of them was a highlight to me.
It really was. I mean, every single performance was a winner. It was like top.
Yeah, I know. Wasn't it fantastic?
Many Kay said that too when I talked to it was just top. Everybody was like incredible.
And it wasn't about, you know, at some shows, I mean, not that I never feel this, but like sometimes, you know, I hear about competition, like you want to outdo but everybody just wanted everyone to be great. And we were. Yeah. You know, and there was a lot of love for each other backstage. You know, we all sat on stage for most of this, as you saw on the sides, we're sitting on the stage. Yeah. And we just were just as much watching as the audience was watching the whole show.
I know. Yeah. And David Amram.
Yes, David Amram celebrating his 93rd birthday.
Amazing. He had 5 gigs last weekend.
I know. In 4 days, he had 5 gigs.
It's unbelievable, isn't it?
Unbelievable.
He just keeps going. He's an amazing person.
Yeah, a great musician, a great person. And it was nice to get Steve Katz to play. He was the Blues Project were very important because Steve Katz, you know, he was very important with the Blues Project. And also before that, he was in a band that was important called the Even Dozen Jug Band that had Maria Muldaur in the band.
Oh, okay.
And they were just out of high school.
Oh, wow.
Very young. And they were in that. And then the Blues Project. And then he co-founded Blood, Sweat and Tears.
That's what I thought. Right.
So 3 bands in a row from the Village that really were very important, you know.
Oh, that's cool. Oh, that's really neat. And then who was Mark Elliott? I mean,
so Mark Elliott is an author.
He's not a musician. He's an author.
No, he's an author. His new book is about Merle Haggard. He's written 26 best-selling books.
Wow.
And his first one was about Phil Oakes. So I wanted him there because he was a friend of Phil Oakes and also wrote the very first book that came out soon after Phil passed. So 76 or 77, the book came out.
Wow. Oh, okay.
And it's the story of Phil really right then as it happened. He was there capturing it. He knew Phil's story was important and started writing this book, you know, early on.
I didn't know that. Okay. Well, that's good to know. I'm going to have to read
The Death of a Rebel. It's considered one of the best books on the 60s ever written.
Really? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's really cool. Now, I'm glad you told us that because I didn't really understand. I knew he knew Phil and he was talking about it, but I didn't really get that connection. Okay.
Yeah. So in the program, if you check your program, I have his bio that he supplied to me, but most of them I wrote, but that one he supplied because he really focuses on that book. But he's written, besides that, he's been very humble because he just mentioned the Phil Oakes book. But since then, he's written about 25 or 26 more bestsellers.
Oh, that's amazing. And all about music?
Paul Simon, well, not only music, but mostly music. Paul Simon and like I said, Merle Haggard, the country artist, but also Ronald Reagan. And I think Charlton Heston, you know, a lot of movie figures also.
Okay. Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
So it's amazing. So, Richard, how long did it take you to pull all this together?
It really was the entire year. It took a year. I think a year to put it together. You know, but it was already in my head because we had done Central Park in 2018. Right. But I wanted to make it more of a concert experience where like almost like a movie or something where very concise, tight, you know, scene to scene to scene kind of thing. And Central Park was more like a party. We just all got up and played.
Right.
You never knew who was going to play with who. But this time we structured it a little more so that we told like a story, starting in order from the folk music of Woody Guthrie.
Okay, right. Okay.
You know, and Carolyn Hester did a song that was like an old song, and then moving into the 60s, slowly into the 60s, and then 65 electric music and music morphing with folk music. And then a little psychedelic with Vernon Reid when he played Tim Hardin.
That was great.
Great.
Vernon is so cool. He's so cool.
So he went, you know, we talked about how we can get a little psychedelic sound in there. So his guitar playing, he's like Jimi Hendrix. I mean, that guy can play anything. So we put in some guitar playing that kind of hinted at the psychedelic sounds, you know, that were coming out.
And I also love the photos you picked, and some of them are from your book, of course. Some of them from your book.
Yes.
And that was cool too.
Thank you. And I worked with Stephen Petrus from the New York, who was at the New York Historical Society, and also he curated the Folk City exhibit at the Museum of the City of New York. In 2016. So he knew this music and the story very well. So I worked with him to pick the right photos.
Okay, that was great. The
he
photos
was running the show for that backstage. He was running that.
He told me. I talked to him at the party, and then it was great that you had Happy Trom, because I know he's having some problems. I know. So that you videoed him.
I wanted him to be part of the show no matter what. And I said, Happy, can you make us a video? And so he was very gracious to make that video.
That was good. And you had Buffy in there too.
Yes, Buffy, because she would have liked to have been here. But she lives in Hawaii. It was just too far to get here for one show. It was too much.
Yeah, but it's a benefit and everything. I know. Yeah. But anyway, it was good that you had her too.
Yes, I think so.
Yeah, I know that was good. Oh, the other question I have is, was it filmed?
Well, only people who snuck their iPhones in.
I know. I saw that. I mean, we weren't allowed to do it. I mean, we didn't do it.
Doesn't allow filming or recording. So we couldn't do that. You know, only when they're doing like live at Carnegie Hall, only at special events do they do that. You know, if we ever go back there again, maybe we can arrange to have it for PBS or something, because I really would love it to be a TV special.
Yeah, well, that's what I was thinking. I was thinking, God, that would be perfect for PBS.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, I mean, they would love that.
I think it would be fantastic. And you know, so many of the artists, even Tom Paxton, that was the first time we've ever worked together. Okay. But I love his music. Even but not only him, all of them said, when are we doing it again?
Oh, well, great. So hopefully next year, and then maybe you can talk to PBS. Maybe you can arrange it with Carnegie Hall. I don't know. Maybe they.
I would love it. I think it's a public television.
PBS is interested. You know, maybe they can talk to Carnegie Hall. You know?
I agree. It's and I think that a Carnegie Hall does have an arrangement with public television and public radio. I did it. My first show at Carnegie Hall was 2003. It was a tribute to Peggy Lee, and that was we were able to at least record the audio. We recorded it for an NPR show called Jazz Set.
Okay.
And it was broadcast on NPR.
Okay.
Yeah, so
all right.
Something like that, you know.
Like you have a year to work on it.
Yes. Yeah.
Actually, you might have to start now, huh?
It does take a whole year to plan it. It does.
Richard. So you would do it at the same time, like in November?
Well, I really do think, I mean, I'm just saying this. I mean, there's nothing, no one has said that it's going to happen, but I will say that it would be a lovely Thanksgiving show every year, like around the week of Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
The way we did it.
It would be.
We did it on the Sunday before Thanksgiving, and that kind of day, a Sunday night before as Thanksgiving week begins,
it is really
a nice time for a concert like this, because Pete Seeger and Arlo Guthrie used to do that.
I know. They did it every year. Did they do it the same, like that Sunday night?
Either that or, I think it might have been.
It was around, I know it was that week, but I'm not
sure. Or was it on Thanksgiving itself? I'm not sure, but either way, that week, one day that week.
It was that week. And
it's
they
hard
did
to do it on that day because some people go away to see their families, but the Sunday is almost
like you're right. It's before people are going away.
Right. That's why that's a safe time, because if you do go away, like sometimes I would go to Florida to see my mother for Thanksgiving, so I wouldn't even be in New York. But the Sunday before is more doable, I think, for people.
Yeah. All right. Well, I hope you do it next year.
I do too. And I hope, if so, I hope I see you in the audience.
I'm coming.
Oh, good.
Yes, of course.
Good.
So anyway, all right, Richard. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time to do this today.
My pleasure. Mindy, anything for you. Anything for you in your shows. You know, I love it. I love what you do. And I was really happy to see you at the concert and at the party afterwards. It was wonderful.
Yeah, it was. Thank you. I really appreciate being included.
Yeah.
And front row was fabulous.
Yeah, it's great. You got good seats.
We got good seats, and
that's one way not to miss anything.
It was a wonderful whole. The whole event was like so amazing. So anyway, I'm really grateful I was able to go.
Yeah, I'm so glad. I felt it was a full experience too. Even for me on stage, I felt part of the audience the way we sit and watch. You know, I felt the experience too in the same way. You know, I loved it. I had front row too because I had right there on the stage on the side.
You were there almost the whole. I think you were on stage most of the time, right?
I was. You know, for Jeff Muldor, I stepped away, and some artists were so solo, but I played with a lot of the artists.
Yeah.
It was really special for me to be able to do that.
Yeah, it was great. And you had the bongos, so that was great.
Bongos, a rare bongos appearance. Yeah, that was fun.
Right. And from the Feelies.
Glenn Mercer of the Feelies. He came up.
That was great.
Underground songs. We both loved the Velvet Underground, and the Feelies' new album, which I'm on as a guest, and so is another of the Bongos, Jim. Both of us are on this Velvet Underground tribute album that the Feelies just made.
Cool. Oh, that's really cool.
It's called Some Kind of Love, I think is the title. And that is a live Feelies album, all Velvet Underground songs.
Oh, that's cool.
It's really appropriate that he came up for the two Velvet Underground songs in this show.
That was great. Yeah, well, the two of you together too at your shows. The two of you are so,
I love it.
It's so fun. I hope you do those again soon.
I think so. I think we will. I think you
should because it's so fun.
Thank you. Thank you, Minnie. And thank you for having me on your show. I love it.
Oh, well, thank you. You haven't been on in a while, so we were due. You know,
I'm so glad you asked.
Me too. I'm so glad to see you and be able to talk to you because I couldn't really see you talk to you too much.
I was working too hard.
And
people were trying to call. I had people trying to call me and text me, but we had no phone service because the hall where we were in the dressing room is all underground.
Oh, okay.
So we had no phone service or text. And then when I got outside, there were all these phone calls and texts. People were trying to call. Many of them, many good well wishes for the concert.
Right. Okay.
I saw everything after the show, not before.
Right. Okay. All right. Well, anyway, Richard, thanks so much. I'm so glad we got to do this, and I'll be showing it later tonight.
Thank you, and happy Thanksgiving.
You too. Okay. Lots of love to you. Good to see you. Okay, thanks a lot. Okay.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed that. Whoever's watching live or in replay. I want to next week, actually next Tuesday at 8, when I'm gonna my kitty cat, one of my cats just appeared. Hello. This is Pippi Longstocking. She wants to say hi. Anyway, next week I was at the after party as I did show the Willie Nile one clip, and I've got other clips to show you. I didn't have time to edit them. And anyway, I ended up getting Richard Barone's interview just a couple hours ago. So I ended up, just showing the one. So next week, I'm actually going to show more clips and I have to edit and everything. So that'll be fun. And so I'm excited about that because that was like a blast being at the after party. Not everybody came, but whoever was there. I didn't get everybody, but I did get quite a few people. So I'll do that next week. And I just want to read you all some of the songs. Oh, thanks. I know. I've got 2 kitty cats, and that's my little girl. Okay, so I just want to read you really quick the songs that they sang. Those are Phil Oakes, When I'm Gone. Terry Tall was the speaker who spoke about the 60s. I interviewed her recently. Albert E. Brumley, I'll Fly Away, Woody Guthrie song, Lindbergh, David Amram, Jack Kerouac, and Allen Ginsberg song, Pull My Daisy, Tom Paxton, that one he changed, so I didn't sing that one. There's a traditional song, Bonnie Dobson, Freddie Neal, Bob Dylan, Buffy St. Marie, John Phillips and Michelle Phillips, The California Dreamin', Bob Dylan, Like a Rolling Stone, John Sebastian, Do You Believe in Magic? Eric Anderson, Close the Door Lightly When You Go. And Thirsty Boots. Steve Katz, Steve's song. They didn't do Donovan Leitch, Catch the Wind. I got to ask Richard about that. And then Anthony DeCurtis spoke. He's from Rolling Stone magazine. Lou Reed, Waiting for the Man. Candy Says, Lou Reed. Chet Powers and also known as Dino Valenti, Get Together, which is on one of my albums, my only album about smiling, Get Together. Famous song from the 60s. Phil Oakes, There But for Fortune and No More Songs. Tim Hardin, Reason to Believe. Jim Morrison, Robbie Krieger, John Densmore, and Ray Manzarek, Light My Fire, and then Bob Dylan, Blown in the Wind. So those are the songs that they did. And, oh, thanks, Laura. Thank you. Last minute, it just kind of unfolded. Yeah. So anyway, thanks for joining live or on replay, and happy Thanksgiving. And no matter what, we got to focus on the good and be grateful. So this is a good time to focus on that this week. And I'll see you all next Tuesday at 8. And I love you all, and keep smiling, keep sweet. Join the Smile Revolution. Okay, and here I go with my credits. Okay, here we go. Okay, let me turn this off. Hold on one second. Oh, okay, it's all right. Okay. My credits. It's called the Smile Revolution that comes, goes round and back to you. So smile, 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 a simple smile will do. Smile, 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 it comes back to you. Bye.